Good morning, Thursday again. I don't know about you, but are you noticing how quickly the week's just flying past? Here we are, Thursday, live at the waterfall at New Lanark. I think I'm a bit earlier today because I've got to prep some stuff. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Gorgeous. Good morning. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Right, let's get cracked on. Look at that tree. Isn't that beautiful? Morning, Liz. There's your wee pal. Well, up. Come and say hello to Liz. Oh, that wee manny. Right. Good morning. I've not ran this morning, I've walked. It was that or just stay at home today. That's the way it felt. Anyway, we are on Follow the 12, part 11. We are on the return journey home, which is a mirror image of what would that have been, the step 3 where we refused the call. Now, this is the part where, if you remember being a child, if you remember, this was me, I used to do this. I used to cry about going somewhere. And if you were a child like me that used to cry when your mum or dad said you were going somewhere, and you would scream and bawl, and then you would get there, and then you would scream and bawl because they said, right, it's time to go home, right? So that's where we're at. That's this part of the journey. This is where, if you can't remember being a child, if you observe your own children, if you have any, where, come on, we're going here, no, don't want to go. And then they get there and they have an absolute ball, and then they cry and don't want to come back. So this is where we're at. So following in from yesterday, it's easy to attain spiritual enlightenment at the top of a mountain. The difficulty is bringing it back into the valley and sharing it with the people. So this return, you're faced with a test because, like on the way in, I was thinking about this morning and how this story relates to me. And I used to renovate property, and I've restored a few classic cars, right? If any of you have done any of that stuff, you might identify with this, but this is, you start the thing, you buy the classic car, you know it needs a lot of work, you start stripping it all down, and you have a real boost and you get towards it, and you get to a point and you're throwing your hemorrhaging money at it. It doesn't look as if it's getting any better, and you're just about ready to give up and throw it away. And then it all just seems to come together. Properties like that as well. You rip it all out, you get it all done, you've hemorrhaged loads of money, and it looks like an absolute bomb site. And you're just about ready to go, you know, I've had enough. And you're ready. And business can be like that. And generally, just before something's about ready to turn a corner, you get one last test, even if it's in your relationship. Morning, Hugh. Morning, Francis. Morning, Cairn. Morning, Linda. Morning, everyone. Thursday, step 11. Wow, nearly through them. This has been a marathon. Right, so this is the part of the journey where so yesterday we were talking, let's say for an example, you went to Base Camp Everest, or you go away on holiday. So you didn't really want to go, there was trials and tribulations before you got there. And then you get there and you start enjoying it, you start enjoying the experience, and then you find it difficult to come back. Now, the trick here, you can get this in therapy as well, rather than just what I notice is I predominantly ask clients to stick to 6 sessions. 6 sessions is my mandatory, right? Commit to that. And a percentage, probably good 75% of people, on the 4th session, they could give up. They think they've got what it is that they needed. They report, or that's when they cancel the appointment. The fourth session is always the one that gets cancelled. If I'm expecting a cancellation, that's when it would come, right? So this is the return journey home. What you're learning, you then have to take back down into the valley and share with the people, right? Now, there's a resistance to that. So you go away and you'd climb base camp, and you've went through all these trials. It's been strenuous in your mind, your body and your soul. You make all these connections because you endeavour these really hard, trialing moments with these companions. And then you've got to come back and you're like, oh really, what do I want to go back for? My life's boring, it's ordinary, it's the relationship with my wife or my kids isn't great. What's the point of going back? And a lot of people refuse the call to go back, right? A lot of people that I have known, because I've been involved in this personal development, kind of healing world for 27 years. And I know a lot of them that are still going down the rabbit hole. They're still down the rabbit hole. They've not actually yet developed the skill to bring what they've learned spiritually or psychologically or whatever back into the real world, right? So many people I know, they're still following gurus around the world. It's just another guru, another possibility, another situation. So it happens quite regularly, right? So let's stay on track. So the reason why our life had became unmanageable, right, which is like step 1 of the 12-step process in the fellowship, and the reason that is because what we do is we become so familiarised and so rigid in a set of constructs that then becomes our reality, that's not healthy. So what you've got to do is you've got to take a risk in order to bring some balance into your ordinary world, right? So whatever your ordinary world might look like, if you're having 4 bottles of beer every night, if you're eating the same stuff every night, whatever that might be, something's going to happen that's going to give you a fright. That's fact. You're not going to get away with that, right? Something's going to happen. You're either going to have a health scare, or you've got to do something that means taking a risk. And what that risk does is energetically, speaking about energy now, next we'll be talking about auras and fairies. Anyway, you've got to bring some balance into your ordinary world, right? And that's why you step off on an adventure and you start to take some risks. You might go and see a therapist. You might go on a holiday. You might go and climb Kilimanjaro. You've just got to do something that's so polarising to where you currently are stuck. Now, this can be exactly the same. This is a mirror image on the other side. You've entered this spiritual realm. You've entered this holiday place. You're at the top of Everest. You're like, wow, everything's great up here. Work life's much better than home life. I get treated like a god at work, whereas when I get home, I get treated like a peasant. Whatever that might be, you cannot stay in the spiritual realm or this special world that you've now went into, because the exact same thing will happen. Something will happen over there that then means the seesaw, the equilibrium, you have to get a realisation moment to bring you back into normal reality, right? Now, this is partly you would in Joseph Campbell's hero's journey that I follow, and the 12-step process, right? So 12-step process, Dr. Bob, fellowship, 1935, Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey, 1949. These guys it's been going a bit a while, right? It's stood the test, it's accurate, right? So this is the part in the journey which is called resurrection, which you could call rebirth. So resurrection, when we say resurrection, we automatically think of Christ. Christ was crucified and then resurrected, and he lived in a wee eggy type cave, didn't he? And the stone rolled away and he was in there for a few days, and then he resurrected and he was seen as spirit and he transcended. So this part of the journey could be called resurrection, rebirth, return. Resurrection, rebirth, return. So what we do here, the learning that we need to incorporate in our journey here, is integration of where we bring the knowledge from up here that we've gained on this path and bring it down into our body so that we can share it with others, right? The knowledge that we've gained on our journey. So let's just say you agree, I started a business. That was my ordinary world. I was working 9 to 5. I decided to open my snack van. I got a call to do it, and then I went, no, I can't do it. I can't make the payments over and above my mortgage, and all this money stuff comes in, and that's the refusal of the call. And then you meet somebody, and that somebody's like, well, that could be a mentor, or we could give you a business loan, or we could put equity against your property, or whatever that might be. All right, okay, and then you take the risk, and then you step in, and then the business is good, and then something happens that sidewinds it, and you're like, I'm ready to give up. And see at that moment you're ready to give up, see if you don't and you just turn the corner, 9 times out of 10 your business starts to get better. Everything that Joseph Campbell studied follows the same pattern. It's part of the human psyche. I believe it to be true, that's why I work with it. So what we've then got to do is those lessons that we've learned, we can't keep that to ourselves because we are very selfish, we're very greedy, all right, I've got the secret and I'm not telling anybody. No, that's one of the reasons why we're struggling as humanity. We need to learn how to share those gifts with other people. So if somebody else is starting a business and you can be of some support, then you step into the mentor position for them. So remember where you were, they're going to be going through the same thing because every myth, every monology, every story, every movie, every book that Joseph Campbell studied, and I believe it was hundreds and hundreds of books, they all follow exactly the same path. We follow exactly the same path when we're starting a relationship, starting a business, trying to get our head out our backsides for drugs or alcohol, whatever that might be, right? So I'm forcing that in to your subconscious mind, right? So this is the part where we've got to integrate what's called body and mind, the spiritual and the mundane. So when we come back from this journey, you know, we went away and climbed that base Everest camp, right, or whatever, and we come back and we're coming back to our ordinary world. We didn't want to come back to our ordinary world. That's our responsibility. That's my responsibility. I did not want to come back from Everest Base Camp, and I did not want to come back to my ordinary existence, right? But rather than dealing with it, what I do is I have then became buddies with all these people that have went through the trials and tribulations that I've went through, right? That shared that journey with me, that I've got something in common with, and I continue to connect with that experience. So although I'm back in the ordinary world now, I'm still living in Everest, and I'm still communicating and chatting about, I'm changing stories here, but remember, well, I don't drink now, right? But remember when I used to go out and get drunk when I was young, right? The first thing you would do in the Sunday morning would be wake up and continue talking about the night. Oh, remember he did that and he went away with him and he snogged her or he snogged him and blah, blah, blah. So you come back from Everest and what you do is you open up that line of communication. So what you're really communicating with everybody that's in your ordinary world is, you're no good enough. I don't want to be here. I want to still be over there, right? So then there's a second degree of punishing your ordinary world that 2 weeks ago you were part of, right? 2 weeks ago, before you left and climbed Everest, you were part of that world. That was where you were. And then you've went away and then all of a sudden you've got this superiority now because you've went through these trials and tribulations and had all these magical spiritual experiences. And the people in the ordinary world did not. Now that's not their fault. It's our job to bring them up, to pull them up to where we are. It's not our job to resist them and keep them stuck and push them down, because that's a form of bullying. It's a form of attack. Here's a lovely wee dog, right? There's kids, so I'm not going to show you that, but look at that wee dog playing with Ralph. Look at that wee guy. Good morning, how are you again? Good. Nice to see you, have a great day. Lovely couple and lovely kids. Lovely dog. Right, okay, so the lesson here in the return journey is starting to think about how can we take what we've learned from our experience, which could be this pandemic. What have we learned? And how do we take and integrate what we've learned back down into the body? So when we've went off in this quest to climb Everest, we've went off in this spiritual transcendent quest, okay? And my buddy Francis, he's coming on to talk live later on. You know, he goes to Gambia and he does all these wonderful things, and you know, he's like this brilliant guy that when he goes to Gambia and then he's got to come back to Bells Hill, right? And then reintegrate, and then every 6 months he's away back out to Gambia and he's helping all these kids and he's supplying money and food and clothes and hearing aids and just wow, just awesome stuff. And he's away over there for however long he is, and he's having a fantastic experience, and then boom, he's back in Bells Hill. And then boom, he's back. And boom, he's back in Bells Hill, right? Where's the integrating? Where's the integration going on? Right, morning David, how are you? Morning Harvey. So, and there's Harvey kicked in as well. Harvey's a boxer. I'm sure every time Harvey has to set himself a goal to do a boxing task or something like that, he goes from the ordinary world, he knows he wants to do it, he refuses the call, and then there's the trials and the tribulations and the time where the mind starts to throw up, I don't want to be going this, I don't want to be doing this, right, and it becomes resistance. And then now we're in the return, now we've got the trophy, right, we've got the sword, we've gained whatever it is that we needed to gain, and then we go back. But this is the trick here, when we go back with our trophy or our sword, it's not getting associated furtherly with the ego and getting developed further with the ego, that we are now some kind of transcendent being, that we are now special, we are now superior, and all of those people that were in the ordinary world are inferior. Now, where you see this with leadership, see this quite a bit in leadership stuff at work, you've got the kind of leaders that get everybody involved in a project, right? And you couldn't say everybody puts in the same amount of effort, but let's just for argument's sake say everybody involved puts in the same amount of effort, and then that leader claims it as his own. You know, one of they guys, right? Oh, when I did this, and I did this, and I managed that. No, you never. Everybody did that. Okay, we all went through this together. So, this is the part of the journey that's called the return, and this is the part that's the exact polar mirror image of stage 3. If you're just catching up with us, go back to the YouTube channel, follow the 12 part 3, refusal of the call. This is where we refused to go home. This is where when we were little children, where we'd scream and bawl like little brats and say, we're not going, we're not going, we're not going. We'd get taken to the restaurant or the fun fair. We'd have a little ball there, and then we'd start screaming, we don't want to go back, we don't want to go back, we don't want to go back, right? So exactly the same. Whatever it is that you're doing, as I said, I've been on this path for 27 years. I've given an inordinate amount of time and money to personal development and courses and postgraduates and all the rest of it. And there's still a lot of people that are burying their head down the rabbit hole looking for a reason why they are a knob, right? Step 1 of the 12-step process, accept you are a knob. You accept that, you move on from that. No matter how many shamanic journeys you go through, no matter how much ayahuasca you take, no matter how many mountains you climb and sit with Dalai Lama masters, you're a knob, right? You're just a knob. That's all you need to do. And then once you accept that, there's no problem. So, step 11, the return journey, is as significant as the departure, and we have to put as much attention on the return as we do the departure. Be mindful, as my granny used to say, to be forewarned is forearmed. This particular process, written by Joseph Campbell in 1949, combined with Dr. Bob, 1935, the 12-step process for the fellowship, is a process. It's a process that's been going on for 80 years. They studied hundreds of myths and models and books and stories, and they all follow the same quest. The ordinary guy, Bilbo Baggins, Luke Skywalker, he was an ordinary farmer. Bilbo Baggins, ordinary wee guy in the Shire. He got the call, he went away with the ring, you got it. It's all following the same path. So that's our journey, and so many of us stay in the comfort zone because we realise that that's the unfolding. If you want to learn to navigate effectively and seamlessly between holodecks, each time you go from holodeck to holodeck, Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey gets solidified, and we refuse it. And so many of us just stay in an ordinary world where we continually get chaps at the door and do nothing about it. So I hope that's been helpful, and we're on the final one tomorrow, Friday. Yay! Have a fantastic day, everybody, and I look forward to sharing with you tomorrow the last and final step of this process. Have a great day. be safe, take care of one another. Bye bye.